A dictator for a day. That's what Donald J. Trump said he would be when he was campaigning last year. But little did we know that Trump would install an unelected billionaire as his co-dictator, or maybe the real dictator. Yes, I'm talking about special government employee Elon Musk, less than 1 month into the White House. And Trump has already given Musk and his cronies free rein to cause havoc across the federal government, including by offering potentially illegal buyouts to over 2 million federal workers, taking over the Treasury Department's payment system, and effectively shutting down USAID by forcing nearly all employees to go on leave. And while a lot of elected Democrats seem to be laying low or pulling their punches, there is at least one Democrat who hasn't been afraid to make some real noise about Musk's takeover, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, and the squad, who became Musk's latest target last week, just a day after she delivered this speech during the USAID shutdown.
This is what the beginning of dictatorship looks like. And a billionaire that hasn't been vetted, has not gone through confirmation, has not been elected by the American people, who we still do not understand what in the world he's doing, should not be telling American employees that they cannot access the building they work at.
Joining me now to discuss those comments and more is none other than Congresswoman Ilhan Omar herself. Congresswoman, thank you so much for coming back on Mehdi Unfiltered.
Yeah, great to be with you, Mehdi.
So, a lot going on. A lot of it involving, sadly, Elon Musk. You have this unvetted, unelected billionaire basically taking over government departments, trying to cancel them. USAID, Consumer Financial Protection Agency, the Department of Education. You have the Vice President suggesting that maybe we don't need to listen to these pesky judges. The executive has the power to do whatever it wants. Are we in the middle of a constitutional crisis? Is this a coup? How would you describe what is going on right now?
Well, we're certainly in a constitutional crisis when you have one branch of the government disregard the other two branches of government. You know, Congress has Article 1 duties to make sure that we are funding the government. And then the executive has the authority to make sure that the government is run right. And then you have the judiciary that gets involved when there is a trampling of the Constitution, when they see illegal activities taking place. And what we know now is that every single executive order that has been challenged in the courts have been found to be illegal. And so you're seeing the executive branch, whether it is Donald Trump or JD Vance, say that we don't need to listen to the judiciary. And that is truly the kind of constitutional crisis that we haven't seen in a really long time, maybe since Andrew Johnson.
Funny, they loved listening to the judges when the judges were striking down student debt cancellation and non-compete laws, all of that stuff. How dangerous a figure is Elon Musk in your view? You mentioned we haven't seen a crisis like this for a century or more. Have we ever seen a figure like Elon Musk in the US before, with this much unaccountable power and influence over our lives, over our government, over our communications?
Yeah, I mean, Elon Musk paid, over $200 million to buy the election for Donald Trump. But what he was doing is he was buying himself access and challenged power for himself. And the thing that is truly dangerous about the man is just the level of arrogance that he has, his inability to tell a single truth. Every single day he talks about finding fraud. He hasn't shown us a single example of the fraud that he's finding. To him, what fraud is what we as members of Congress debated and decided to fund legally. That to him is fraud. What he is not talking about is the fact that he himself has $15 billion in government contracts. He hasn't looked at the one agency that has continued to fail an audit, which is the Pentagon. You have not seen.
And when he does look at it, it's unlikely he'll look at his own contracts.
Of course, but he's not even talking about what does he go after. He goes after, as a billionaire, goes after the money that supports the world's poorest. What he goes after is our education system, the department that makes sure there is no discrimination for children with disabilities. He goes after FEMA, that takes care of people when they are desperate after a national disaster. And even with FEMA, the program he's talking about was funded in 2023 to shelter folks. That was passed with the Republican-controlled majority in the House.
But not with his permission.
Again, no facts to be found anywhere when this man speaks.
Last week, Musk turned you into a target for him and his followers after reposting a clearly edited video of you giving basic legal advice to undocumented people, including undocumented Somalis in your district, with Musk falsely writing that you were, quote, breaking the law. What was your immediate reaction to that? Not only the targeting of you, but this kind of spreading of lies about what you were saying.
Yeah, but it's not just the spreading lies about what I was saying. It's spreading lies every single day, right? This has become the norm for him. He wakes up lying. He goes to sleep lying. And frankly, I don't think he understands the laws of this country. I don't think he understands the Constitution. I don't think he understands the power that we have as members of Congress. And I don't think he understands or thinks that people are entitled to rights under the Constitution if he doesn't like them.
And he doesn't like you, it seems to me.
Yeah, it's mutual.
Okay. What do you say to critics on the right who say undocumented immigrants are all criminals and therefore no help or advice should be offered to them, just deport them all?
Again, we are a country of laws. We follow the law. That's why you're not seeing people just randomly being picked up and being deported. There is a process that people have to go through. And whether you are documented or undocumented, you do still have rights to some laws in this country.
The GOP has joined Musk in retargeting you, I should say, because they've targeted you before. But there's a new round of attacks on you, and you and I have discussed people attacking you in the past. But you have this new freshman congressional representative, this lawmaker Brandon Gill, Republican, who tweeted out that video of you and wrote, "America would be a better place if Ilhan Omar were deported back to Somalia." I mean, I thought I'd seen everything. And I've seen a lot of attacks on you. But now you have a Republican colleague, dare I say, in the House, saying to deport an American citizen, an American lawmaker, an elected representative. How do you deal with that?
I mean, these people are just idiots. I really, I'm at the point where it's become really hard to have an intellectual debate with any of these people because the level of stupidity that they are displaying every single day is frankly embarrassing, not just in Congress, but as Americans, and the fact that these people are allowed to say just the most ridiculous things tells you that the dumbing of the United States has arrived, because how else do we get a Trump presidency again?
And the media isn't helping. You were asked about all of this on CNN last week, and the anchor seemed to just repeat Musk's lie straight to your face, not even recognizing how false what he said was. Let's have a listen.
I do not speak Somali, and I'm basing this on the translation that he retweeted here. And this is guidance that we have heard from many immigration advocates. But Musk says that you are, quote, breaking the law literally outright.
Is it helpful when news anchors and journalists just repeat crazy claims from Trump or Musk or Brandon Gill?
No, I mean, and I think the thing that is unfortunate about the media is that they will say, Elon says, and they won't say, like, the judge said this is illegal when they're talking about the executive
or Elon's looking for fraud, even though there's no fraud
that are being shut down. Or, they will repeat these things. And I think, frankly, it is malpractice. And it does a complete disservice to the American people.
Just on USAID, which he's effectively shut down, you've talked about your own experience receiving support from the US government, from USAID, when you were a child living in a refugee camp. How did receiving that type of aid impact your view of the United States? How important is that aid when it comes to America's role in the world?
It's really important, because when you're struggling and you're looking for a hand up, you take account of who is providing that hand up for you. It provides goodwill. It shows that we are a compassionate people as Americans. It shows our great reach, and not just the aid that provides food and vaccines and medication to combat things like HIV. U.S. aid also helps with development. And that is a counter to China and others who are in some of those countries. And we need to be able to combat their influence with our own influence. And by diminishing our influence, it gives our adversaries the chance to increase theirs.
What do you say to people on the left who say, good riddance to USAID? It was a tool of US imperialism, a CIA front to undermine foreign governments and spread US propaganda?
Well, there's some elements, and again, you know, when we first heard about what the possibility of doing, you know, real audits, looking at some of these programs that don't really work in our best interest, we were excited. We wanted, you know, we've always been advocates for efficiently utilizing American resources and making sure that the empire that the world sees and wants to attack is not one that is functioning in that kind of way. But unfortunately, what they have done now is something that is completely illegal and is putting lives in danger.
Just switching from the Republican Party to your own party, as you know, a big criticism of the Democratic Party this past year was about age, Joe Biden's age, about there being a lack of younger leaders, people with a new vision, a different, fresher vision. Recently, there was a clip I want to play to you of Chuck Schumer, Senate Democratic leader, along with several other top Democrats, that became sort of a meme after a panel of CNN pundits couldn't help but laugh at it. Let me play it for you.
We won't rest. We won't rest.
Gretchen.
Yes,
So,
can we play it again?
Now, a lot of people were amused by that clip. It says a lot about the Democratic Party leadership. I think there's a cane being raised as well in the shot. People would argue that a Chuck Schumer isn't bringing the energy that someone like an AOC or yourself has been able to rally up. Is it time that the Democratic Party leadership hands over the torch to some younger, more energetic leaders?
Well, yes. And I would say, you know, we had a Trump presidency where Nancy Pelosi was his opposition, and she understood the moment. And so age is not just the only factor that is out there. I think it is unfortunate that the seriousness of what we are dealing with, while our Constitution is being threatened, while the democracy that we all love is being threatened, while the values of the country we all love is being threatened, to not use every single leverage that we have to not battle this fascist authoritarian dictator that we are seeing, that is emboldening people to break the laws of this country every single day with the rigor that it needs, is not just a disservice to the Democratic Party, but a disservice to the country.
You mentioned leverage. The leader of your party in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, in another viral clip that is being much mocked over the last 48, 72 hours, said, we have no leverage. We don't control anything. We have no leverage. And a lot of people see that as a very defeatist attitude, that actually Democrats could do a lot to throw sand in the gears, to slow down what's going on, to call out what's going on. Do you agree that the Democratic Party has no leverage?
I mean, I haven't seen the clip and the context in which that took place, because we've been seeing Leader Hakeem Jeffries sending out a blueprint on the kind of leverages that we have and how we should utilize it. There is leverage. We have leverage in the budget process. I'm on the budget committee, and we have a markup Thursday. We're prepared to present amendments and fight them there. We have leverage with our outside allies and with the courts. We have leverage in saying we're not going to go along with anything unless we have assurances that the executive branch is going to honor the work of Congress and make sure the money that we appropriate gets to where it needs to go. I don't believe it is okay or acceptable for us to throw our hands up and say there isn't anything that we can do. While I do recognize the fact that the American people, unfortunately, 33%, which kind of make the majority in this sense, have said we don't want Democrats to have the majority in the House, the Senate, or the presidency. And so whatever damage that takes place in the next 2 years is on the Republican Party, because that is who the American people chose to lead, while we will show the American people that that choice was wrong. At least for now, that's the choice that was made.
Let's talk about the Middle East that you and I have talked about before on this show. President Trump is proposing a US takeover of Gaza that I will own, he said at the weekend to Fox, and that Palestinians will not be able to come back to. What was your reaction when you heard that plan? And what was your reaction to people on the left who say, well, Democrats were also proposing a quote unquote relocation of Palestinians from Gaza to Egypt as well when Biden was president?
Well, I just think the irony of Trump being elected to be the anti-imperialist president coming in and talking about taking over Canada, Greenland, and now kicking all the Palestinians out of Gaza to turn it into a resort for himself and his billionaires. And the fact that the American people don't see it is just fascinating. But he has no legal right to take over Gaza. The Palestinians who have fought for their right to stay in Palestine are going to fight for that right. And I hope that the leaders of the Arab world stand in solidarity with them and don't continue their cowardness in allowing for the destruction of the Palestinian people.
But the Arab leaders, we could talk about their cowardice, and that's well known. What about the leaders of your party, right? Because the argument is that back in October, November 2023, Biden and Blinken approached the Egyptians to try and get them to take Palestinians from Gaza and put them in the Sinai. You have people like John Fetterman, Senate Democrat, praising Trump's plan. You have Democrats not having really given a damn about Palestinian livelihoods over the last 18 months. Do you think Democratic leadership now, in opposition, will actually stand up to Trump as he does what would be a brazen war crime?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I know I will.
Okay.
It's the erasure of the people of Palestine, the ethnic cleansing, the genocide that we've witnessed has never been, has always been supported in a bipartisan way, with the exception of few on both sides of the aisle. Maybe a little bit more on the Democratic side, that has continued and will continue until there is a price to pay, and that price is felt, until people are reminded of their hypocrisy in supporting others against genocide, but not supporting Palestinians, it is my mission to continue to hold that mirror and remind people that what we've allowed Israel to do, what we have condoned, will continue to create a problem for the world if it ever tries to morally speak up against a genocide ever again.
That is true. Last year we spoke on the eve of the election, and you made the case for voting for Harris. Even when we talked about Gaza, you said Trump would be worse. Just wonder, just going back to the election itself, do you believe in hindsight that Gaza helped cost Kamala Harris and the Democrats the presidential election last year?
Well, it's not what I think. We've seen polls that say 33%, nearly 30% of the people who stayed home because of the bloodshed, the genocide that was televised on their phones, and the fact that the Biden administration, which Harris was part of, was complicit in that. And we also know that the campaign now, in hindsight, chose to take off people off the roster of people who raised the issue, did not even try to persuade them to vote for them. So this was unfortunately a choice that was made, and you know, we can do the what ifs, but right now it is clear that at least it played a part.
So that was looking back. Just let's finish by looking forward. In your view, what do we need from the big D Democratic Party in order to save small d democracy going forward?
Well, we need them to have a spine, to remember who their base is, to not say they're working for the working class and poor people in this country, but to actually do it, to utilize their power once they have it for good, to, you know, not listen to the donor class, but listen to the voting class, and to be honest about what it means to put people over politics. Because when you are playing a political game about who in your base you need to listen to, then you are not putting the people above politics. And there are lives that are endangered, not just our democracy and our constitutional republic.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, thank you so much. We'll have to leave it there. Did you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on notifications. For exclusive content and to support our independent, unfiltered journalism, head over to zeteo.com. Your support matters.